Well, it's a rainy Tuesday night here, and I can't think of a better way to finish out the evening than to look through this old 1980 Penney Christmas catalog. So, if you are interested in the 80s, if you grew up in the 80s, or if you're a fan of the 80s, if you were born in the turn of the century but you're fascinated with the 80s and you want to see what things looked like and what people were interested in, and especially if you liked toys from the 80s, you might just want to stick around for this video tonight, because I'm going to show you what I dreamed about as a kid in 1980, what I would look at and hope for that would end up under the Christmas tree. So, as you can see, this is J.C. Penney Christmas 1980. And they're telling you here that they'll accept a J.C. Penney credit card along with Visa and MasterCard. Of course, you can change it. Of course, you can charge it. See page 363. On the back, we have some high-tech stereo equipment with a cassette player, some nice-looking headphones, speakers, turntable, even the equalizer so you can play with the sounds, all for a lot of money back then. I mean, that's a lot of money. $300 was a lot back then. I mean, I can't even tell you how much $300 was back then. Someone did some math. They divided 19 by 4. And 4 times 4 is 16. And then they got 3. So it would be 4 point. Then you add a 0, make that a 34.7. So they figured up that they got 4 sets of something here. It says, save this catalog. Toys on page 375 to 527 are available till August 15th, 1981 at the prices indicated. All other prices in effect till January 24th, 1981 unless otherwise stated. And on the cover we have a picture of Santa in his workshop making the toys that all the kids were excited about. So I turn the page and we just get a big blast of Christmas decor, 1980 style, the kind of decorations I remember. The very much like the cookies. We would make a lot of our own decorations out of. My mom would make dough that didn't have sugar in it, but it was like salt and flour, and we would she would bake it, and we could make little Christmas cookie things and paint them, and then they would turn into ornaments, and they'd last for years. I mean, they lasted. I think she even still puts them up. His broom. I mean, this is a typical 1980 Christmas tree. One of my happy memories, it was 1977. One night, it was in Kansas. It was dusk. It was cold, and me and my mom and dad and brother and we're out getting a Christmas tree at a Christmas tree farm. I still remember that like it was yesterday. More ornaments. First Christmas 1980 for those who were born in 1980. And now we get to some Christmas party gear here. Your ice buckets, your wine bottle holder, your wine glasses, champagne flutes, your eggnog or Irish coffee cups, and your punch cups, your punch bowls. And I remember these kerosene lamps were really popular in the 80s, and I never understood why, but we had them too, and we would fill them up with kerosene and light them. But I want to tell you, they made a big mess. It made this black smoke that came out, and it would stain the ceiling. I mean, if you put your hand over it, it would turn your hand jet black. Thimble collecting was big in the 80s. Clocks. What we're looking at right now is all the stuff to get you in the spirit. W.C. Fields. He was famous actor from the 30s. We usually played a drunk. He was a drunk in real life. Calendars, very nicely done calendars. Menus, all kinds of homey decor. Art prints. Lots of art prints. And you got these little dinner table games, like what you'd find in a Cracker Barrel. These were much more common back when I was a kid to find in a restaurant. It wasn't just Cracker Barrel, but many restaurants had little games like this on the table. So you'd have something to do while you waited for your food. You don't see that too much anymore. And some dollhouse building. If you had a daughter and you wanted to make her a dollhouse, you have everything you need. Your miniatures, you got little families, you got furniture, and you generally could buy this in a kit, and the dad would put it together, paint it and everything. This old style of very homey, colonial looking style for Christmas pajamas. And then we're gonna cut to some holiday clothing. Keep in mind this is 1980, so these are some older fashions. This sort of tablecloth pattern was pretty popular, and you see it was a holiday pattern. It kind of looked like wrapping paper. You still find this pattern on wrapping paper a lot. Terry cloth robes and velour. Stay cozy, to stay warm in. Then you got your satin and silk robes. More like 1980. The girl with the boxer shorts. This is kind of a more of an attractive thing. That looks kind of cult-like to me. Like they're dressed to go to some sort of cult meeting. Athletic gear. Very, very common. This look was very common. Fila was one of the brands that made track wear like this. Let's see. Wintertime underclothes for ladies. More pajamas, but kind of not as modest as some of the other things, and some more stuff like that. And we're gonna pull out some nightgowns. Very soft looking nightgowns, house shoes. It's like basically a Snuggie. It was basically a zip-up quilt. This was a very common robe in the 80s. Everyone's mom had this on. When I would hang out with my friends and their mom came in to tell us to be quiet or whatever, and she had curlers in her hair, and she always had this exact robe on. I don't know why. It was like the mother who's pissed off robe. Snoopy, very big, very popular. The athletic pajamas were popular for girls back then. We get back to this Christmas paper pattern. The pullover sweater with this smart looking. This is a sort of a European look. Common look for like European college students in the 40s. Interesting throwback there. Workwear. Nice, smart looking workwear. Your comfortable shirts for around the house. This type of hat was pretty popular. The turtleneck. I mean, a lot of these things you could wear today and, fit right in. That, I think. That sleeves may be a giveaway. That type of sleeve was popular. They always loved the little tie around the collar back then. For some reason, you saw that a lot. See, in just different variations. This is a 1920s look that has endured for years and years and years with the sailor girl tie. And we continue. Take note of the hair, too. See how things have changed. This look. And once again, I see my mom in a lot of these pictures. I see how she dressed during this time. This particular, she had this almost identical outfit with this top and these pants. That was one of her outfits to a T. That exact outfit. I remember her wearing it. Some more math computations. And this time they're multiplying decimals. They were really trying to figure out if they could afford some of this stuff. Okay, some sweaters. Kind of a Princess Di looking woman here. That look you don't see too often anymore. The heavy turtleneck. That my mom had that one. I remember that. My mom didn't like this look. She hated that tie. That was like the office look. The girl who worked at the bank. The girl who, that she never liked that look. She would be more likely to wear something like this colorful sweater or that outfit I just showed you, or she would not have liked. She didn't like stuff that looks like. Is it just me, or does that pen look like the GE logo? I thought it was GE for a second. Ooh, I don't want to break this spine. I'm trying to be. Ooh, it's making me nervous. This is a very old catalog, and I want to be careful with it because I want to maintain it. I just heard a little crack there. She never would have worn that. These dresses are very like Little House on the Prairie looking. She wouldn't have worn that. She would have thought it looked like the Golden Girls. She wouldn't have worn that. She would have worn that. She would have worn that. And my mom had good taste. Or she still has good taste. She wouldn't have worn some of this stuff. That was a common winter jacket look. She wore boots. Let's see. Gloves were cool back then. Much cooler than they are now. And we get to the leather purses. One of my favorite sounds was, listening to my mom digging through her purse looking for something. And these things. These are music boxes. This Hummel Kaiser style was very big in the 80s. My grandmother collected all these Hummel and Kaiser figurines, and I think she paid a lot of money for them. See, when I was a kid, my mom had some makeup set kind of like this, but when it closed, it looked Egyptian and it said Cleopatra on it. I just thought it was very cool. Here's Jovan collection for men. Like, I guess it's that soap or it's cologne. Jovan sex appeal, ginseng, grass oil, and musk oil. Chicago shave set. My dad, he went through that whole shaving cream in a cup phase. For the longest time, he used a cup like that, and he had the shaving, and he had the little soap in the bottom. We had this exact stuff, this creamery machine stuff. My parents used it. I don't remember what it was for, but I remember that exact thing being in the bathroom. Jewelry boxes. Jewelry. My dad told me one Christmas. He said, this Christmas I want you to buy your mother a Cameo pen. And he gave me $25. And let me see how much this one cost. So I bought her at Service Merchandise. This one's $6. So at Service Merchandise, it was 1984, I think, and I bought her one for $24.99. And then later on down the road, me and Mary went to the actual place in Italy where they make the Cameos, and I bought, some for her there. But then I was taking too long, and our Italian guy came into the store and chewed me out in front of everybody. And she was really mad at me for making us wait. But I didn't take it. That's just the way it is in Italy. They're very blunt. And I like it like that. They're very direct. Pocket knives. And yeah, my dad went through the pocket watch thing too. He had a pocket watch. I don't remember if he had a pocket knife on it or not. But he did carry one for a long time. And he had it engraved. We get to the gold digital watches, which you don't really see nowadays too much. As you can see, they got very complicated. All kinds of things. The gold digital watch now it looks kind of tacky, but in the 80s this was a sophisticated look. $65 was a lot of money to pay, let me tell you. Man, that was no cheap watch. Texas Instruments. It was years before. I mean, I got it. I had a plastic digital watch. I can't remember when I got my first one. And I sure liked having one. But it was more like 83, I think, when I got my first digital watch. My mom had those hair curlers. They would heat up in that thing. And she would put them in her hair. There was some. I never. She had a set look just like that with a sort of brown lid. And she used that. Those things would get real hot. This, I'm trying to find the hair dryer we had. It looked a lot like that. Now the pipes. Yes, around 1979, 1980, the fad was for men to smoke pipes, and my mother, for my dad's birthday, bought him a set of pipes and a little thing to hold the tobacco. And he took up pipe smoking for a couple of years, and he would sit with his friends. We would visit Tom and Nancy. There were two friends, and my dad and Tom would sit in another room and smoke pipes and talk. And Nancy and Mom would be in a different room talking, and then me and all the kids would be playing. And they had a girl. She only had one arm, but she was the same age as me. And we would play with all of her toys. And she'd get mad at me, and she would start hitting me with that stump. Like, she would punch me with it. And I just remember that was just a strange memory. Trunks. Luggage. That look was really popular. My dad had something like that he wore. Yeah, I can see my dad now in a lot of these clothes. Look at this crazy stuff. Look at how men were dressing. Look at that. When my dad went to work, he would wear a three-piece suit like that. And he sometimes had the chain. Yeah, he had the pocket watch. That's what he did with it. He had that chain going on. And the three-piece suit was the look back in the 80s. The vest and everything. And matching flannel for the family, matching sweaters. This lacrosse was I think it was lacrosse. Oh, no. I had the wolf one and our emblem and their emblem. So they're comparing the wolf. And I remember there was a fox. I had a fox on some of my shirts, and then there was lacrosse. And it's like from a distance, can you tell? That's what they're saying. Like, look, you can pay $16 and get this fox that from a distance looks the same as this damn alligator. So why pay $20 when you can pay $16? So, I guess, I don't think that's what they're really saying. That's kind of funny. I like that look. That looks like a Irish guy going to the pub look. You know, with that vest really, really dresses up that blazer, let me tell you. Shirts and ties look about the same as today. Now, it's funny. Back in the 90s, these ties were jumped out at you, but now it's kind of like how ties look again today. Matching couples. You don't see that too much now. I still dress like that. I like a shirt and a sweater look very much. I like to wear that to work. It's cozy because I can, you know, if you have a hard time like me to get the right temperature, and that's just me. I mean, the sweater shirt is a great thing to wear. More track suits, corduroys were continue to be popular off and on. She's like, I'm wearing these pants much better than you, honey, and he's like, ha ha ha. And we continue, guys, and basically the male jewelry box. It's got a ship on it, or it's got a horse on it. It's for men. If it's got nothing on it, it's for women. You have to signify something manly on it. It's still a jewelry box. A little flask. I'm guessing that's for booze. Along with your hygiene kits, your nail clipping stuff, your wallets, your male gloves, your I'm gonna dress like Bing Crosby today outfit here. Parkas. These kind of coats were really big. These vests. Ski time, cuddle duds. I think that's what we used to call those things. This guy's like, ooh, he has that look like he's kind of nervous about skiing today. I mean, he's like, I don't like what I'm seeing. Cowboy hats with feathers on them. If you're gonna go skiing, you gotta look like Jim Carrey from Dumb and Dumber here. Make sure you get one of these hats on. Hey, I can say this stuff. I was alive then. I lived through this. And I even remember the 70s, so I can judge. I had these exact shoes at one point. These kind of hiking boots. I'm not exactly sure. More robes. I mean, it is robe season. There she goes again. She's like, honey, I wear these pajamas much better than you. And he's like, ha 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 ha. I'm just going to show you this picture, and I'm not going to say anything. So, yeah, I just want you to see that. Okay. Keep in mind, this catalog's targeted at kids. Okay. And as a little kid, were you going to understand that? Okay. Now we're starting to get into kid territory that I would have skipped through all that crap in the beginning. I would have cut straight to this because I would have wanted these Muppety shoes, or the Snoopy shoes probably. And we're getting into kids' pajamas that are much more fun, like Superman. And Snoopy, and Popeye, and Donald and Daisy, and see, that colonial looking sleepwear for kids. You can serious pajamas for serious kids here, and happy pajamas for happy kids. I mean, these kids look pissed, and these kids look really happy. I mean, he's like, I love you, brother. He's like, I know. And he's like, I hate everyone. I feel nothing. And he's like, I hate that I was born into this family. I mean, isn't that what it looks like? He looks like a total sociopath. Star Wars pajamas. We're finally getting the cool stuff. Lone Ranger. Yes, it was very popular when I was a kid. The Hulk and Spidey. Batman and Superman. Okay. Just make sure make sure the camera was on that so you could see it. Popeye. Sesame Street Carpool. Save energy. Yeah, we just came off Carter's administration, so we were all talking about saving energy, even the kids. They were pushing that into us. President Carter would give his speeches wearing a cardigan sweater. And he would like stand up and turn his thermostat down just to show, or up or whatever, just to show you that he was being a good sport. I mean, that's how. Love a cat. I remember that, and you saw that a lot. This cat on things. Okay. He's like, I look like a total dork, mommy. She's like, I will not get wet today. And Pigs in Space. That was a Muppet thing. If you remember the Muppets, you should remember Pigs in Space. School stuff like the Snoopy notebook. Another one of them crazy Snuggies. Looks like someone went back in time to buy this toiletries for little girls in an old cigar box. Did I tell you that when I started school, Ziggy jeans, Popeye jeans. Did I tell you that when I started school, we would bring cigar boxes to class? I mean, and they would have like cigar names on them. I mean, and no one sent us home for that. They actually made us bring cigar boxes. It's a different world. basically the same sort of looks that the grown-ups had, but on the young ones here. And we are going to continue to little ninja toboggans, sports themed pajamas, sports stuff. Not so much of it, but this type of gym bag was very popular. There weren't very many. Your trucker hats. These are suspenders, by the way. That's not a watch. These are suspenders. They were very much in style. We were watching Mork and Mindy. The tracksuit. This was a common look for kids. That was the cool pajamas. If you had your guy friends over for, we didn't call them slumber parties. Let's just get that straight right now. You spent the night at your guy friend's house and you watched, guy movies like Terminator or something, and you would wear pajamas like this just to establish the ground rules. Okay. You didn't wear pajamas you didn't wear anything less than either sports or something. Star Wars, that was doable. Wow, that's your Foot Locker for your bed if you're a kid and a sports fan. Some more Christmas ornaments. More Christmas trees. Yeah, fake chimney. Nutcrackers. This creepy Santa head. These glass ornaments that would shatter into a million pieces. Like 1980, if any of those still exist that didn't get shattered. This house is protected by an attack cat. They had that all the way back in 1980. Here's a cigarette piggy bank for the kids, which is great. Let's see. Okay, let's start talking now. Here we're getting to the sections I really, really liked. Now these are things that I always looked at and we never got because my mom had basically she basically banned Hickory Farms or anything like that from the house. She just did not want anything to do with cheeses and sausages that were in cans or wrapped up in foil. I always wanted them. And like one time she bought one just to show me how crap they were. So she bought one and then she opened up the box of crackers and there's like 3 crackers in it. She's like, look. She's like, see this? You see how you're getting ripped off? It's just packaging. And she was right. When you take all the stuff out, it's full of this green grass tinsel. And when you take all the food out, it's not very much. But I still love them and I still want them all the time. I still want this gift. I just feel like I just want to put on a movie and just dig into one of these. And sometimes they came with like a backgammon set. How cool is that? Or a skillet. A cutting board. A little upside down turtle. Piñatas for Christmas? Christmas nuts and a nutcracker. A big bag of cashews and mixed to nuts. This candy, you can still find this if you really look for it. It's like old-timey candy. I'm going to zoom in. So look, this is 100% filled confections. Old-time. You can still, and they look exactly like this. You can still find it like in Big Lots or whatever. Let me tell you a little bit about this candy. First of all, it tastes, every single piece, no matter what color they all taste the same. Second, once you open it, you better start eating because the next day they will all be fused together into one piece and you will have to chisel them apart. And the third day, you're going to be so bored with them that they will sit there for the next 6 months until you finally throw them. Or actually, Mary will be like, you want to keep this? And I'm going to be like, no. And she will be chucked in the trash. And that is the story of how those candies go. Artist stuff. Portfolios, do your own paintings. That's very cool. No, not. These aren't artist stuff. These are doggone TV trays. Never mind what I just said. I thought for a second this was something that you would do and not just sit, watch TV, and eat your dinner out there. Like, I don't ever do that. The micro flame oven. Oh boy. Didn't that look good? Look how perfect those pancakes and eggs and bacons and sausages look. I challenge you to pull that off. You will never, ever, ever make it look as good as the picture. Crock pots. If I haven't learned one thing from watching This Is Us, always turn off the crock pot. Popcorn makers, completely obsolete now. My parents bought us a popcorn maker a couple of years ago, and they bought us like a metal one. We used it one time, and then it burned all the popcorn on the bottom, and we're like, that's why we stick with microwave popcorn. Mr. Coffee, percolators, and my opinion, still some of the best tasting coffee comes out of a percolator. Let's see, ovens, cooking stuff, food processors, all this copper stuff. My mom still has all over the wall. She has all of these copper molds to make cornbreads and cakes and stuff that are shaped like fish and chickens, and we have those exact ones, in fact. And if I ever find them, occasionally I'll buy her one. Yeah, they love some copper back in the 80s, let me tell you. Thou shalt not steal cookies. These. Let's see if I can find some of the patterns I grew up with. I don't see any. I think we have more of a 1970s. I think it's butter something is the print that we had. Well, we did have very similar silverware with that pattern. But most of the stuff that we had when I was growing up came from the 70s. And we kept that all the way until the very end. Sleeping bags for, if you're a girl, slumber parties. If you're a guy, spending the night watching guy movies. Okay. Snoopy. Oh, I would have loved that. Not just The Empire Strikes Back, bedding and curtains and a picture and sleeping bags. Wow. I would have loved that. X-Wing fighters, C-3PO, R2. Oh, wow. Pictures of them from Star Wars because they didn't have the right costumes on, but we didn't care. Let's see. That little thing was, whatever that girl with a bonnet was real popular. Girls wore that shirt all the time. Beer logos. Keep it classy here in that section. Your little cute decorations. More clocks. Art. Saw these a lot. This guy's like, I must always know the temperature. Or if it's too humid, my curls will shrink. Let's see, mirrors, this kind of stuff with shield. I personally, never liked this look very much. More sports stuff. Disco ball. Hey, we're in the last days of disco. You might as well. Yep. Your drinking party stuff. More lighting. Wicker. Yes, wicker is upon us now. Tiffany lamps are still in style. Ceiling fans. Fireplaces. Fire stuff. Fireplaces, accessories, chainsaws. Outdoor stuff. Stuff for your car. Make you get, so if someone gets in your car, they're gonna step on your name. Weird. Scrape dog crap on your name, and that's, I wouldn't want that. I would want someone's name I didn't like. Actually, I would, if I knew a guy named Brian who I hated, I would get those floor mats for my car. And if someone stepped in dog crap, I'd say, just don't worry about it. Scrape it off on Brian. Tools. Back when tools were very simple. We didn't have all the stupid crap we have today. Just simple stuff. Just the stuff you needed. shoes. These Canadian super duper shoes you can walk into a volcano with. It won't hurt you. Or you could walk on a glacier. More sports stuff. He's like, what is he doing? This guy's like, go team. And this guy's like, look at my scarf. I don't know what he's doing. I don't know. Little football outfits. Ice skates. Let's ice skates. Camping stuff here. We get sleeping bags. Now, you know, I can't laugh at this stuff because when I was a kid, we had a raft, a raft that we would take to the lake and stuff, and it was looked like a can of Pringles. So I can't laugh at the Cracker Jack or Oreo. I mean, that was that Doritos. I mean, that was just the way it was. That was the style. You wanted your sleeping bag or your floaty thing to look like a brand name. Black powder was a big deal. I think we were still coming off the bicentennial, and people still wanted to own these Kentucky rifles and get these Grizzly Adams accessories, powder horns, all that. I mean, that's some seriously committed black powder sporting right there. And when you go to bed, you want to make sure you're in camouflage. And more, these are airsoft guns, equipment, exercise stuff. What in the world is going on here? That's isotherma waist and thigh body trimmers, but my goodness, that's an interesting look when you just put it all together. Okay, we get into some typewriters, home computer, the Atari. This is an Atari home computer with a printer. That is your disk drive, and you use your television as your monitor. You see that? Let's get a good look. Think about how far we've come. Oh, how much did this cost? All put together. Well, the personal computer was $1,080. That was a lot of money back then, considering your average family income was about $12,000 a year. Had that camera, the Polaroid one shot. I loved that camera as a kid. 8mm projectors. We have those films of me and my brother on these old films. It's really cool to see. Binoculars. Now we're getting into the order forming parts of the catalog and indexes. Oh, we're getting it more math. She was really working on something here. Now we're getting into the toys. This is where it's all about. This is what the kids we could ignore everything before these flat pages, and we cut right into this. Now I'm a boy, so I would skip past all the dolls, but let's just go through them because this video is for everybody. This doll came with a bar of ivory soap. This doll came with a bar of ivory soap and a pack of Kleenex. These dolls have very, very pale faces. Let's see. These are crying baby dolls. You would feed them a liquid and they would actually shed tears. We get to the Barbie Dream House, a Barbie Super Vet. Not quite as complicated as the Barbie stuff today. Barbie also had an RV. There's outfits for boy dolls. All of the dolls look like a certain famous Olympian. Barbie, she can be in the city, and you could put spotlights on her. You see that? You have a little cityscape to put behind her. Strawberry shortcake and Huckleberry Pie. Most people forget that Strawberry Shortcake had a boyfriend named Huckleberry Pie. Huckleberry Pie sounds gross. Have you ever seen a huckleberry? They're pretty disgusting. They look like a full tick. These little family action figures. They're basically action figures for girls. They didn't ever really take off. I went to a little girl's birthday party when I was a little kid. First of all, I bought her a pack of these. She could care less. Second of all, her family raised giant pigs. And I was terrified the entire time we were there because these pigs were the size of horses. Now, my wife is going to do the same catalog, and she will have a lot more input about the girl stuff, so just hang tight for hers. Now, this Ronald McDonald doll was very cool because he had a whistle, and you could put the whistle in his mouth, and he would blow it. He also had a grimace in that pocket that you could pull out, which was really cool. I had a friend who had one of these, and I wanted one, but my parents would never get it for me. Howdy Doody, and this is, what's the guy? Charlie McCarthy, Edgar. Yeah, if you have a time machine, you could go back, and there was a famous ventriloquist named Edgar Bergen, the father of Candace Bergen, and he had a dummy named Charlie McCarthy. Danny O'Day, Lester, and W.C. Fields, because apparently kids wanted to be ventriloquists back in 1980. I would have just skipped through all this nonsense. A lot of my friends who were girls had these little heads that they would style the hair on. Fresh and Fancy. Here's all the kitchen sets. Betty Crocker sponsored toys. Oh, wait. See that pattern? Look, this Corningware pattern right here. This is D. Child-sized dinner set. Cornflower. Yes. See the pattern. Take a good look at that. That pattern was all of our stuff. And it's called Cornflower. And this is a children's set with that same pattern. But all of our stuff in the house. And I have a coffee pot still on my stove that has that pattern. Cornflower. Now that's something cool. The fake food I always kind of liked as a kid. I always kind of wanted it, but, you know. It was... You could make easy bake stuff. You could actually make cookies and cakes. I don't know if they still do that or not. The Play-Doh fun factories were really cool. Like, there's a barber shop, and you could make Play-Doh come out of their hair and then cut it. Never got that when I was a kid, and I always wanted it. But I did get a Play-Doh set with Star Wars modes, and you could make, like, you know, little Star Wars characters, which is cool. The Snoopy Snow Cone Machine. Holy cow. They always had commercials for it. I always wanted it. We never got it, but I wanted to make my own snow cones with Kool-Aid, and I really wanted to take that Snoopy that was full of syrup and finish my snow cone, and I never got it. There was a Pepsi drink dispenser for kids. Like, you could have your own little seedy bowling alley. There's Sesame Street, Curious George, Animal... that doggone phone, the chatter phone. They still sell that thing for weird grown-ups, I guess, because I don't know what kids want it. Okay. Trying to see if there's anything I had. I mean, I was too old for this stuff at this point, but I remember like baby, and they still make that stuff. That thing. I think they do. I mean, I was pretty much too old for most of this stuff when it came out. Like I said, most of my kid toys were from the 70s. And they were some basic things. Like, when the classic Tonka trucks came out, I felt like I was too old for those. I always wanted this because I lived in Kansas and we saw these silos and barns everywhere. And I wanted one of my own, so I tried to make one out of paper one time. And it didn't do a very good job. See, and this kind of stuff where it shows the dump trucks and everything, I always loved these pictures. First of all, let me tell you this. The catalog company took these pictures. And they would get creative. And see, that's like hole punches. Like from paper. But as a kid, you don't know what that is. It just looks cool, and you want some, you know. And you didn't know it was his hole punches. This was a theater. Okay, this is before computers and all that stuff. So this is the best we could do. We had little storybooks that you turn the little thing around and it would tell the story. You would use your finger and turn that, and it would, you know, talk for like 3 minutes. Or and this little thing, hand cranked movie. You could hand crank your little cartoons, or you could play these little plastic records. I mean, this was cool stuff. I mean, we had it going on. We really did. We had, look at this, Legos. This is old Duplos. They didn't call them Duplos back then. It was just, yeah, they did Duplo. Yeah, so it's Legos for young children with small hands. And that's a cat toy for kids. Now it's just a cat toy. My Puppy Puddles. That puppy would drink water and then urinate. I never knew. And then there was and then the commercial, they'd put like a little towel under it. And I'm like, I never understood why you would want that. Now we get into Matchbox. Every boy loved him some Matchboxes. And I had a gas station similar to that, but I didn't have the auto park that went with it. I just had a gas station. I remember playing with my gas station in the basement one day, and I remember thinking to myself, I'm going to turn 4 pretty soon, and I don't want to. I want to stay 3 forever. Classic. Look at those old Matchboxes and the old models they would be in, the trucks. Another thing, when the movie Convoy came out, I was mad about semi-trucks, and my parents loved it, and they bought me all kinds of semi-trucks. So I could make my own Convoy in the house. Now we get into Tonka people. Basically, action figures, and then the hard-working Tonka toys. I never really had any of these. I always kind of wanted them. This is the Tonka 4x4. It came with this little cowboy-looking guy. Then they made one for the Fall Guy, and it looked like Lee Majors, but it was basically the same toy. These are Tonka people, play people, and we would, if I went out, when I had a birthday, my parents would give me a check for $25, and then they'd take me to the store to buy action figures, but of course they would buy some, and it seemed like my $25 could buy a lot, but really they were spending their own money. I would give them the check back, but then they would buy a bunch of action figures. But at one point, we were getting close to the wire. My mom was like, you can buy one of these Tonka people. And I bought like a tennis player. And we used to make fun of him all the time because he didn't really measure up next to Han Solo and G.I. Joe. And oh my, they're cool action figures. Have a coconut smile. Oh, these old trucks. ABC sports truck. The Texaco gas station. Smokey and the Bandit was hot, and look, there you go. The Sonic Control Trans Am. Every Trans Am that came out had to look like Smokey and the Bandit. Voice controlled superhero vet. It's got Spider-Man driving it. Oh, now we're getting into sound effects machines. You can hear birds, cars, trains, whatever you want for $20. Now you can buy something like that in the checkout line. These are Mego Monsters, put out by the Mego company, and you can still find, they keep making them again. They look a little bit better than they used to, but they would make, you know, Dracula and Frankenstein, and there's a little electrical thing to make your Frankenstein in, and then they had Godzilla and Rodan, Grigori the Vampire Bat, Crusher, glowing monster. See, monsters. Oh, wait. Here we go. Star Wars, The Empire Strikes Back. So, the new favorite toy for decades came out in 1977. By 1980, we have a whole new round of them, and the old classics. You could get a Sandcrawler with Luke. See, look at the action figures. Luke and C-3PO and R2. A remote control Sandcrawler. This is the Droid Factory. I had that. It was very cool. You could build droids, including your own R2-D2. This is the Troop Carrier. This originally was just a toy, but then they turned it into a real thing later on for Star Wars Rebels. I had that, and you press buttons and you could hear people talk. It was really cool. A Dewback, and he's next to the Hoth Imperial base here, which is weird because Dewbacks, see, a Tauntaun belongs there. There's Han and a Tauntaun, but the Dewback doesn't belong there. He should be on Tatooine. Here's the Millennium Falcon. Very cool. If you were lucky enough to get all of these stormtroopers, you could create a scene just like this. There's the Star Destroyer. It's got Darth Vader's little throne chair where he takes his helmet off. It's got he's got the bounty hunters there for Darth Vader's like discussion with the bounty hunters. Wow, so cool. Here's the land speeder. We put Luke and Obi-Wan and the droids in it, and then it would roll across the floor. So cool. Sonic land speeder. The Cloud Car. There's Lando and Cloud Car pilots. The snow speeder. Here's a new lineup of Empire Strikes Back figures. The Bespin Security, Lando, the medical droid, Han Solo, IG-88, Rebel Army Building Trooper, Luke, Snow Trooper, Yoda, Princess Leia, R2 and C-3PO. See these little 4-packs? These are special action figure sets. They were in a box, and it would have these 4 figures. It would have Han and Boba Fett, Luke, and a Rebel Trooper, all in one card back. And you could get the TIE Fighter, the X-Wing Fighter, the Darth Vader case. This was all crazy fun. Like the Star Destroyer was $18. I mean, these weren't too much. The Millennium Falcon was only $27. The radio-controlled Sandcrawler was $30. An action figure, just one action figure. I guess I can't remember exactly how much they were, but they weren't that much. Now here we have Nego made these Star Trek figures to compete. So Star Trek the Motion Picture came out, so you got the bridge, and you've got these basic 5 articulated figures, and you've got Kirk and Spock and McCoy and Scotty, and you can make your little bridge. You got Alia, but they didn't do as well as Star Wars because that bridge was really thin, crappy plastic. The figures, I mean, it was really cool to get these figures, but these were the hard ones to get. These are all worth a mint now if you have them. And there's a hovercraft. These are like your generic space toys that they're just kind of bolstering it up. And now look over here, Buck Rogers. This was a great TV show in the 70s and 80s. Buck Rogers spaceships, the little tank, a little like Buck Rogers command center for your figures. And these figures were amazing because they had real good articulation. They had elbows and knees that bent, and they had a twist. They could twist in the waist. You had Tweaky and Princess Ardala. You had Emperor, what was his name? Draco, Kane, Wilma, Tiger Man. Then you had Flash Gordon action figures, like the movie. They didn't look like the characters from the movie, but they had them. They had your Buck Rogers, Draconian, Marauder, and Buck Starfighter. And I had this exact space case. It was the generic space case to put all of your Buck Rogers, Star Trek, and Star Wars action figures in. Now we get to superheroes. Look, Hulk, Spider-Man, Batman, Robin, Superman, and Cap. What's going on? They're mixing DC and Marvel. Because back then they couldn't. They didn't care. Now you couldn't do that. Back then it was just superheroes. No one cared. I mean, it was DC, it was Marvel, it was superheroes. Look, you got bases. Here's Chips. Now you got some more of these superheroes, but then this was like a machine from the Superman movie with the little rings that looked like they had in the Superman movie. You got Chips action figures, Ponch and John. You got a helicopter. You got another Hulk. You got Hulk muscles. This is a little Guns of Navarone set for your army men that I had. It had this big mountain, 2 guns. On the inside was barracks and dorms and kitchens and prisons. It was amazing. It was $20, and I had that set. It was really amazing. This is an old West town with a stagecoach, covered wagon, horses, outlaws. You got your Lone Ranger and Tonto full-size figures on horses. Some crazy, amazing stuff here. These are all your electric toys by Mattel. Handheld games, video games. Coleco Baseball was a very popular one. Tomy was... This was... Simon was very similar to this. Match Me. These little electric games were real big. Stop Thief, I remember that one. Another electric board game. These are before really, like, the Brain Battler. Everyone wanted one of those. I do remember that. Battleship, electric battleship. More Hungry Hippo kind of games. It's not Hungry Hippos. It's Silly Sammy Seagulls, but it's the same exact idea. There's the Hungry Hippos. Etch-a-Sketch. Light Bright. Daiwa Design. I remember that. Oh, I remember the commercials made this look so cool. But it was probably pretty boring. This Dr. Drill and Fill was Play-Doh. You could be your own dentist and put fillings in teeth and stuff. All these Crayola caddies always looked cool. Let's see. Sports games, football, baseball, remote control cars, another Smoking the Bandit kind of thing, planes, lots of remote control stuff. A Buck Rogers one. Train sets. My dad did buy me a train set. It was every kid in the 80s should have a train set. It got me a Lionel one. I was very proud of it. I watched The Good and the Bad, the Ugly, so I tried to make it look like one of those crazy trains with the cannons, and I would tie my action figures to it and put little signs on them that said Trader and stuff. Here's the toys that my female friends had. Little horse sets and stalls and rodeo sets. Science stuff was always really popular too. Microscopes, science kits. And now we get into black and white pages for toys that they're not as crazy about, like Monopoly, like baseball cards. Probably those things are worth the most of all of the stamp collections. Now we get into doll houses. Big, crazy, ornate doll houses. Phones and typewriters, adding machines, tool sets, toolboxes, Viewmasters. Very popular. Speak and Spell was high tech. Little Professor. These two were very, very popular. Some of these just looked really neat. Space helmets. They had Star Trek ones and stuff. Radios that looked like things, like cans and stuff, were popular. Light games, basically. This is all early elements of video games that would come out, like this Star Wars game, see? Or these were all the predecessors to Nintendo. Look, little kids dressed like Punch from Chips. We get into some Legos, building blocks, build your own Tinker Toy robot, and we get into like pool tables, pinball machines, furniture for kids, toy boxes. I had a toy box that looked like a little space capsule. I don't see it in here. These little guns were popular for kids. Still kind of like the 50s, you know. Lego sets. Interesting. Look at how basic they were. Not so much about minifigures, but more about building. You know, like building tractors, space stations, space shuttles. More sports stuff. Like a whole football set. Posable figures. I mean, some crazy cool stuff. My cousin had that spaceship game. Music sets to drive your parents crazy. Lots of music sets. These are read along books. So I had Star Wars ones and stuff, but you, like the Rescuers, you would buy the book and read along with the record. You'd put the record on and listen to the book being read to you. I had these two, Star Wars and the Black Hole. Definitely had these two. I used to ask my mom to put them on for me all the time. Sesame Street Fever. Oh my gosh. Sleds. Here's all the children's books. Dr. Seuss. Fairy Tales. Mother Goose. Bicycles and tricycles. Roller skates. Watches and clocks. All this for kids. A Star Wars clock. Oh wow, how cool would that have been? Star Wars watches. The Black Hole, Star Trek. All of your major science fiction properties. They made Black Hole action figures too, but I didn't see them in here. If I missed them, leave me a comment. Hamburgers. Hamburgers are a big deal. They had hamburger stuff all over the place in 1980 for some reason. I don't know why, but they made perfume look like hamburgers. I don't know. Now we get into actual video games, like Atari. And look at the game offerings. See, that's what the Atari set looked like, and you could play Space Invaders right here. This is Intellivision by Mattel. We had this very game. It was a card game, and then here's some of the Intellivision games. Baseball, Armor Battle, it was tanks. We had that one. We had Las Vegas Roulette. We had basketball. We had Space Battle. And they made a lot more. They made an advanced Dungeons and Dragons game. See how it looked all like wood paneling? And look at the remotes. What you did is when you open up your game pack, there was a little card, and you would slide it in there, and then all of the buttons you needed would correspond to these buttons, and that was basically like your joystick pad. Very sophisticated. The Atari was more traditional looking, and these were the Atari games. We didn't actually have one. We used to think the Intellivision had much better graphics. Guitars and drums. Kiss was very big. My mom banned Kiss from the house. Thought they were gross. Some TVs and car stereos. Camcorders and VCRs. High-tech stuff. Super expensive to be sure. $800. $500 for these music sets. $700. $150 just for a turntable stereo. Boom boxes. Portable record players. Cassette tape recorders. And your alarm clock for $33. And that ends the catalog. I hope you enjoyed this trip with me back to Christmas of 1980. And I hope that you brought out a little bit of that kid in you that would be excited about all those toys that you might get under the tree. And if you like my channel, please subscribe, click the bell icon, leave a comment, give me a thumbs up. I answer my comments. Until next time, bye.